Hello, welcome back to I had 3 days left in my Premiere Pro trial, so I felt the need to make another video. So originally I was going to talk about these two movies and how the tone of the film needs to match the characters' reactions to create more impact for the craziness that occurs in these movies. But while skimming through one of the movies, I kind of realized that didn't work. So I'm going to do something a bit different. So the other day I watched Bloody New Year for the first time, one I had kind of wanted to see for a while, and I found myself extremely disconnected with it. And it's something I felt with other slashers kind of similar, and I was able to pinpoint why exactly it is that I do not like it as much. The big issue is a serious lack of an outstanding main character, even just cast of characters. You know, they don't react normally to the things that occur to them and what happens, and they kind of shrug it off like nothing happened, and it doesn't make the craziness that impactful. Bloody New Year had some wild moments in it, some truly memorable scenes, but it ultimately didn't matter to me because the main characters, for the most part, like acted like nothing happened and just moved on. It doesn't carry over that impact that those scenes were meant to have. So I wanted to compare it to one of my all-time favorite horror movies, and that is Evil Dead 2, directed by Sam Raimi. The great thing about that movie is it has a strong central character, Ash Williams. He's one of the main reasons that movie works so well. A lot of things happen to him in Evil Dead 2, and he reacts to it normally, and the impact it has on his sanity, his mentality, carries over into other scenes, and it fleshes out his character, and you get a great sense of him. So you root for him, and his reactions and his personality match the goofy, bizarre tone of the movie, so it makes those goofy, bizarre scenes work so well. Whereas if he didn't react or had very little reaction, it wouldn't be anywhere near as impactful. Now, I know I'm comparing, what's the saying, apples to oranges or whatever. You know, Bloody New Year is this cheap direct-to-video slasher film made for a quick buck in the 80s, whereas Evil Dead 2 is a film theatrically released, critically acclaimed, made because it was wanted to be made with a huge cast of talent. And that's not that Bloody New Year lacks talent. I just think the intentions were different here. So yes, I know it's a bad comparison, but I did want to make it because I think it points out a fatal flaw in a lot of these cheap B slasher movies that I think could help improve them. Because for the most part, I find a lot of them quite boring when in fact they should work because of how odd and out there they are. Try to make this quick as well. I realize I've been talking for 4 minutes in this intro. I'm sure I'll cut a lot of that out. I don't want this to take 20 minutes like my music review, so I will try to make this quick. So to start things off, we're going to talk about Bloody New Year first. I'll just give a basic summary, point out the big character bits, kind of give you an idea for the central character. So upon skimming through Bloody New Year again, I kind of realized I was wrong. Not all the characters react like nothing happened. It happens quite a bit, but I think for the most part, the female characters react rationally to these things, whereas the male characters don't. And the one I want to talk about is Rick, mainly, because he's kind of like the central figure for the majority of the movie, I feel like, as well as the other male characters in this movie who give little reaction as well. So a brief synopsis of the opening. It's like New Year's, transitioning into 1960. There's like this party, and the party kind of fades out, and there's this girl that gets pulled into like a mirror. That kind of establishes the movie's mysterious, very weird tone right away. So right off the bat, you know this is going to be just a strange movie. So then the group of kids are introduced. We have Spud, Rick, Janet, Tom, and Leslie, and they eventually run into this American girl, Carol, which I forgot to mention this is a British film, thus that's why they ran into an American character and why I felt the need to point that out. They cause a lot of mayhem at the carnival. They break down a ride. They crash a truck through like a ghost train ride, which was so weird. But it creates like an exaggerated, playful, rowdy teen kind of mood. So mixing that with the goofiness of the concept that we were first introduced to, it makes sense that these two would kind of go hand in hand together and that these characters could work in a film like this if they're done right. Anyway, so they take a boat and their boat crashes. They're shipwrecked on this island with an abandoned hotel on it. So they kind of explore this hotel, and one of the characters, Spud, wanders off to like this ballroom area, and he sees these two guys like singing on a stage, which is okay, they found people. That's interesting. Why are these people singing on a stage? Anyways, Spud walks right up to these people and they just disappear in front of his eyes, and he is unfazed. You know what he says? You know what his reaction is? Weird. And he walks off. Like nothing happened. I get it's a bit of a different reaction you'd have to, say, having to, I don't know, cut your own hand off as you do in Evil Dead. Just the fact that he doesn't have any sort of reaction already creates a disconnect. It's funny at first, and I didn't mind the first time, but it kept happening, so it just felt like nothing even mattered. So the power goes out. Tom and Leslie have to turn the power back on. A vacuum falls down the stairs on its own, whatever. No one really cares. It's like a really odd moment where Carol points it all out. She's like, let me get this straight. So like, I just met you guys today. We just absolutely destroyed this carnival, and now we're stuck in some weird time warp in an abandoned hotel. And everyone just
No, we're not.
That's your reaction? She pointed it out. She spelled it out for everybody, and they just, that's kind of funny. Which I forgot to mention, the main point is that there's like a time warp. They're stuck in a time warp hotel, which is an even cooler concept. How could you screw that up? Which they don't, by the way. They have some cool ideas in here. They're just not executed to the best. Again, I know, direct to video, I'm sorry. It's basically like this experiment was, they were testing like a cloaking device on this plane, that it was flying over this island, and it just caused the island to fall into a time warp. That's the gist of it. The plane crashed and, you know. So anyways, this next scene is absolutely hilarious. They go into this movie room, and I think it's already playing a movie, and they all sit down and watch the movie, which is so odd. They just watch it, and then the movie ends, and they all start getting upset, which is so funny. Like, what are you guys doing at this point? So Rick puts in another movie, and then get this, while Spud is up on the stage, this happens. Some dude just popped out of the movie screen. That killed him, by the way, somehow. So Spud is killed, and then it just gets sucked back up into the projector. Like, okay, that's so odd, right? You would think these people would be so freaked out, which they kind of are. And they all run outside next, and Janet is very clearly freaked out. The ladies are obviously kind of freaked out. Rick is unfazed, and all Tom can think to say is,
there have to be other places on the island. A lookout station or something.
the lack of reaction to this person's death. Someone just died. Anything could happen at this point. If someone could come out of a movie screen and kill somebody, I would be terrified. But these guys are just, no, they're just whatever. They even stay in this hotel for the rest of the movie, so I don't know. So anyways, there's a later scene where Rick and Janet are chased by like some Evil Dead moment, like from the movie, where it's like a unseen evil like following them through the forest. There's even a really funny scene where like repeats the same shot 3 times for some reason. They even see like footprints forming in the sand, and all Rick can say when Janet asks him,
Why couldn't we see them?
just nothing. He just shrugs it off. He doesn't care. I get it. I get you don't know, but the look on his face bothers me so much because he is very clearly just so unfazed by anything and everything occurring around him. Later on, the gang is attacked by this, one of the carnival operators from earlier who was at the beginning of the movie, whatever. He punches straight through Leslie's chest. She turns into a ghost, kills him, and everybody else except Rick is just completely unfazed. He's like throwing nets at her and just standing there, and eventually runs off. Like, how are you how is this not affecting you in any way? There's more chaos that ensued. Tom comes back. He was like stabbed earlier. So then Tom and Janet are left alone. Rick and Carol are going to go look for a boat. And Rick like kind of questions it like, oh, I don't know if I should leave these two alone. Right after he just says it in the most boring, uncharismatic way. Like he really doesn't care. It's so flatly delivered, and it just, no impact.
I don't like leaving them.
They couldn't go any further right now.
So Rick and Carol actually stumble onto this old crash site, the cloaking plane, and they're attacked by like a pilot. Rick incapacitates them, and everything just disappears. And this is what Rick has to say right after that happens.
Come on, we must find the boat.
Huh? What? So anyways, Tom attacks Janet. He has this really stupid voice for some reason.
Come on, Jan. That's a nice dirty game you'll enjoy.
He's killed. Janet is absorbed into the elevator, and Rick actually shows emotion to it. This is like the one time in the movie I think he actually shows a hint of emotion. You know, he's very clearly affected by this and, panicking, but, it doesn't carry over, obviously, because why would it? So then Rick and Janet are chased again. They go into this kitchen. They were attacked by like these hooligans from earlier at the carnival, and so one of them is eaten by like this pot that also burps. And they're like attacked by everything in the kitchen, and they get out, and as they're staring through a window, everything just reverts back to normal, and they just stare. They very clearly have no reaction to it. If anything, Carol has a slight reaction. Rick just looks. Nothing is phasing him at this point. But anyways, the door opens by itself. They have no reaction. They just go inside because why not? They receive exposition from Leslie the ghost again, and about what's happening, why it's happening. They're attacked in a pool room by everybody. They swing on a pool table for a little bit. They again look just uninterested, unfazed. They get to the beach where the boat is because they had found it earlier, and Carol's able to get in, and Rick is called back because he sees like a ghost of Janet in the distance. And then Rick is pulled into the ground. The like operator from earlier comes in and takes like a weed whacker tree trimmer thing and cuts his head off with it. But Rick just the whole time looks unfazed. He's just sitting there just Like, dude, you're trapped in quicksand or something. You're about to get your head cut off. You're not phased. Honestly, very admirable. He just, like, even in death, he's not afraid. He's just living life. He's just going with the flow. So anyways, the movie concludes. Carol's pulled under. It's all revealed. They're now trapped in the time warp too. Whatever. So now, take all that into account. What just happened, how nothing affected Rick, the main character, basically. How his girlfriend dying and his other friends dying, and how being trapped in a haunted hotel has no effect on him. And now let's take a look at Evil Dead 2 and see how to do it right. So, quick little thing, Evil Dead 2 is actually like a better remake of the original, which is still great. If you haven't seen the Evil Dead movies, I highly suggest you go watch them before even watching this video, or at least the second, so you can watch this part. But basically, Evil Dead 2 is meant to be a higher budget remake of the original while also expanding on the lore and the concept and everything. The basic premise for this one, this man, Ash Williams, and his girlfriend, Linda, go to this cabin in the woods. Ash finds a tape player in there. It tells him about how this archaeologist found this book that can, summon these evil spirits and demons. They're called Deadites in these movies. So anyways, Linda turns into one of these Deadites and attacks Ash, and he has to kill and bury her, okay? And later Ash is attacked by this unseen evil that I mentioned in the Bloody New Year thing earlier. It's basically this thing where the camera kind of fastly pans on the ground through all this stuff. It's supposed to be like a invisible presence, represents evil. So he's attacked, he's briefly possessed, and when he comes to, he is completely freaked out. I'm assuming because his girlfriend just died. He turned into this monster momentarily, which can't feel good, I can imagine. So he's very clearly shaken up. This is clearly taking a mental toll on him. So he tries to escape. He goes back to this bridge they crossed earlier, and the bridge is completely like folded up now, and he has a meltdown. It makes sense because now he can't get out of here. He's now stuck in this place. He knows nothing about the area, and he knows it's completely screwed up and haunted, so why would he want to stay here? His girlfriend died. He has nothing. He is alone. He even tries to hold it together because he knows he's not going to make it out of here if he loses his head. So anyways, Ash is kind of inside the cabin later, and he sees Linda get out of her grave and kind of dance. I believe he's even attacked, but then he wakes back up in the chair he was sitting in earlier. He thinks he's losing it because he thinks it didn't happen. He thinks it's all in his head now. The cabin is clearly messing with him, but also it's having an effect on him. All these crazy things going on are affecting his mentality and his sanity. He once again calms himself. Linda comes back and attacks him. He has to go into this shed behind the cabin. He has a moment, he revs this chainsaw. He puts her head in those things that clamp clamp whatever it is you're working on, because she's in her possessed form. So he's ready to kill her, and then she once again turns back to her normal self. He's very sad. He questions whether he can do it. He's wondering if she's even still alive because he doesn't know how this works. So he goes to kill her. She's possessed again, and he has to kill her, obviously, so she doesn't come back. That to me would mess with someone's head, and it's done so well here because we have someone who is stuck in this unfamiliar place. Girlfriend just died. He has to kill her, even though there's a chance she might be alive, somehow, somewhere. Also that he can survive and get out of here because he has to. So anyways, he was bitten by Linda earlier, which causes his hand to become possessed. So he has to cut off his hand. He has a whole tussle with his hand. He tries shooting it and chopping it up. It's honestly very goofy, but it works because Bruce Campbell, who plays Ash, is a very animated actor in these movies. The dude does an awesome job. So anyways, my favorite scene in the whole movie, probably the most famous scene in the movie, comes up where everything in the main room of the cabin starts laughing at him. Like inanimate objects. There's like this light on a table dresser next to him that starts laughing at him. There's cupboards that start opening and throwing stuff. They're all laughing. There's this deer head on the wall, which is like my favorite effect in the whole movie. It's so memorable. Starts laughing and cackling at him. And Ash starts to laugh as well. It's as if he's just accepted it. He has lost his mind. What else is he gonna do? He has a moment where he dances with the lamp. It's absolutely hilarious. But then he hears a noise outside and he shoots. Very clearly he's panicked. He doesn't trust anything still. Even despite that moment of comfort he just had, knowing that he is kind of conforming to this craziness around him. And it turns out they're humans, okay? There's Ed and Annie, who are archaeologist. Annie is the daughter of the archaeologist who was on the tape. And there's Bobby, Joe, and Jake, kind of these two characters Ed and Annie met on the way to the cabin. Anyways, they throw him in the basement because clearly He's a little crazy. But then, there's a Deadite down there, so he has to come back up and he fills everybody in. He warns them because he's still a good person. He wants to help everybody. He doesn't want to have to go through what he had to go through with his girlfriend. I know I'm reading a lot into this. I know this movie isn't super deep. It builds a great testament to this character, is what I'm getting at. Later on, Ed turns into a Deadite. Ash has to kill him, and very clearly, he's still shaken up. He's not completely numb to death. Having to kill some random guy he just met who means a lot to one of these people is gonna affect him. Later on, Ash even turns back into a Deadite once again, and he finds a necklace he gave Linda earlier in the movie. He, turns back to his normal self, and he completely breaks down and cries. So clearly there's still humanity in him that's saving him from completely transforming into one of these things. Anyways, he puts a chainsaw in his hand, the iconic chainsaw hand he has. Him and Annie are kind of left. She repeats these pages, opens a portal, sucks this big demon and Ash in his car back to the Middle Ages. He saves, everybody from this flying Deadite. Everyone starts cheering him on, but he can't help it but just break down and scream in agony. He is broken. He is now somewhere completely unfamiliar to him. Nothing in this time and place reflects anything he is comfortable with. The main point I'm trying to get at here is that with Bloody New Year, we have a main character who doesn't react to anything, isn't affected by anything, and ultimately just completely numb. And the big issue it has when you have a movie like Bloody New Year with such a crazy concept and these super fun, crazy ideas, you need that to carry over into the characters so that they show reaction to it, thus giving a much bigger impact to the events going on. When they're completely emotionless and lifeless, it makes the film boring, and ultimately you just don't care. You have no reason to watch it. It just becomes a string of random events occurring until the credits roll. Whereas with Evil Dead 2, you have a character who's very clearly affected by everything going on around him. He loses his mind. He has some humanity to him. He still wants to help people where he can, and he still has a very emotional connection to his girlfriend who he had to kill. The main point I'm trying to make is that if you want a crazy concept like this to work, you need some memorable characters. It at the very least helps. Honestly, the original Evil Dead, Ash was really boring in that movie in my opinion. He doesn't do much. He's shaken up and has, barely any reaction to anything going on, or he's just in shock most of the film. So even in that case, that's a case where that movie was actually, the original Evil Dead, while I still love it, was still impacted just a little bit because there was no crazy memorable character to fit the tone. And I think that's why Evil Dead 2 works so much better. It has someone with personality and humanity who is affected by things and has to deal with them and somehow still make it out alive. And that's how I think Bloody New Year could improve if it just tried to make a character who is actually impacted by things and who could make the crazy concept work. So I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I realize I have a lot of footage here I have to edit, so I don't know how long this video will actually be. I wanted it to be kind of short, but I think I got a little off track. Anyways, so with that being said, I know this isn't crazy in depth, but I just wanted to make a very quick comparison to these two. Just kind of show how one does something so well and the other doesn't, and how this one is so much better than this one because this one has a key component that this one is drastically in need of. Thank you all for watching. I will get another Premiere Pro trial when I need to make another video, but I did want to get this out. I thought this would be kind of interesting to look at, maybe not necessarily go, super deep into, but just something to talk about. So yeah, peace out.